Ring mod, right on. So my name is Plague, and this is a tutorial series that I talk about every single effect on this device. We're talking about ring mod today, available on everything, which is fantastic. This thing, it has a history, it's wild, and it's really cool. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. But what does it do exactly? This is just the Wikipedia article right here on the ring mod. A lot of math involved. It's crazy. Basically, it takes the stimulus, which it uses as a carrier, kind of like the vocoder, does some math to the signal, and then outputs a sound that gives it a ringing tone. It's called a ring mod, not for the ringing tone, but for the ring on the diodes, the ring of diodes that the signal is traveling around. I'm not going to get too technical into what the ring mod does exactly. It does some crazy stuff to it, a lot of math. We're not going to worry about that. We're just going to talk about it in the context of the MK1 and a little bit about the MK2. But we have two parameters. We just have frequency and balance. Pretty straightforward. The frequency is controlled by the track effect knob or the input effect knob, which is great. We can do some assign stuff with that. So the frequency is the pitch that the ring mod will process the sound at. If you want really good sounding notes, play with the value until you can find your root note. So whatever key your song is in, find the root note or find the third or find the fifth or find the octave within using the frequency, kind of dial that in. And that will allow you to have a really good sounding ring mod with whatever that you're doing. The balance is pretty straightforward. This is just how much of the raw input sound versus the ring modulator that you hear. So I have some bell samples over here on track 2. And we're going to put a ring mod on it. I have here I have a sine tone. It's a C4 note. You can hear it's doing all kinds of crazy stuff to it. If you want even more detail about the effect in general, like the ring mod in general, there's a link in the description for some of my sources. So the ring mod gives a really alien-like texture to it. So, for example, if I put in a ring mod, I can... I am a space alien. It can also be used to change the note of a track. So, like, for example, if I have, say, a couple effects on, I can change the note of something. I'll have a synth and then the ring mod, and I'll change the note of the ring mod. So here's another example of a track. We can change the note of it. So notice this is in key versus if I take it out of key. It can sound cool, definitely can sound cool, but it's just, if you hold it, it sounds off. So just kind of play with it until you find that note. As always, effect layering matters. So ring mod A is going to sound a lot different than ring mod C, but only in relation to other effects. So if you only have ring mod on, it doesn't matter which one it's on. But if you have other effects on top of or below, that will matter. So just keep that in mind when you're using the ring modulation, and keep that in mind when you're trying to balance a ring mod as well. I wanted to give you a visual representation of what the ring mod is actually doing. So what I'm going to do is I have that C4 note that's recorded here. I'm going to play the C4 note. I want you to note how values 0, 31, 43, especially 43, 55, 62, 67, and 71 are having a tremolo-like effect. And we'll change the balance to 100. So you'll hear the sine tone or the tone rather, in the background with the 50-50 as I move it up. And then when I go to 100, I want you to notice the tremolo-like effect. So you'll see the two bright lines that you're seeing. Those are the sum and differences between the waves. So check this out. Alright, enough of that annoying sound. So, I wanted to give you a more visual representation of what is actually happening with the ring mod. Now what I'm going to have you do is listen to the ring mod. So if you listen, it is essentially doing a polyphonic. You'll hear multiple notes happening at the same time. You can hear the higher note and the lower note move away from each other, and then the notes come back together, and then it comes back out, and then come back together, and it comes out and back together, and it goes through this like wave pattern, and I want you to listen for it. So we saw this on the spectrogram if we zoomed in, but I believe this is why we hear the tremolo effect. So those two tones are interfering with each other. And this is all happening because of the math that I skipped over, but it's harder to pick up with the bells sounds. You can definitely hear it when you have when you've trained your ear. So I'm going to do the sine tone, or excuse me, it's not a sine tone. This tone now, you'll be able to hear those notes. The high note go up and down, and they kind of separate each other, and then they come back to closer, and then they go apart, and they do that. You'll be able to hear that. And then I'll do it with the bells, a little more complex sound, and you'll be able to hear it with that too. So you can hear them kind of coming apart and going away from each other, the low and the high. Let's do it with the bells. So now you can kind of hear what's happening a little bit better. So what's weird is that because this uses a carrier signal, any value will sound okay, given some are better than others. So I'll give you an example. So we have, say, this track here. We'll just make it sound real do some a bunch of random crap, and then what we can do is we can put a bunch of track effects on it, including another ring mod, and make it sound even crazier. Another thing that you can do with this is to create harmonies. So like in this example, if I combine the ring mod with a bunch of other effects like a granular delay and a filter, I can create sounds, and I can play it by just kicking into the mic. essentially creates that. And then you can add other crazy effects to it. One last cool thing is, you've seen me do this throughout here. I have just, if you just diddle with the track effects knob, you can create almost like scratching sound effects. Vinyl, not necessarily a vinyl flick, but just scratch noises like a DJ. But if you really want to get technical with your ring modding, I have a website for you. It's, again, in the description. Basically what it does is you input what you have for your ring mod, and it'll output what tones are in that ring mod frequency. So it's pretty complex. Again, I skipped over a lot of the math here in this tutorial, but you can get really, really technical with the ring mod. So the most simple thing to do is just to find your root note or your third or fifth or the octave and go from there. Also, at the same time, sometimes it just doesn't even matter. Just here is a track that utilizes some ring mod stuff. I got the rhythm inside of my veins. You like the rhythm, she like the rhythm, we like the rhythm going to our brains. Up to the dub, buzz this up. I feel the wubs out, turn up the gain. I'm seeing red, thing in my head. I think that I'm happy going insane, yup. They don't know it's rhythm until that shit hit up. They don't know it's rhythm until that shit fucks them up. with the old chop chop. Hit him with the old chop chop.